Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hollywood Knockbusters, where we talk about the movies that kind of didn't do very well in the box office. And this one is no exception. And we'll get into that later. I'm here with my special guest, Liz Fletcher, who's back again. I think was the last one we did the Double Dragon episode. I think it is.
I feel like we've done one since then.
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but
Yeah.
I know, like, yeah, so we did Double Dragon, which you had never seen, and this movie, Josh and Sam, which you hadn't seen. I don't think you'd have even heard of, had you?
I'd actually not ever heard of this movie.
Yeah. So I'm a little older than you. I'm 82, born in 82, so I'm not 82 years old, but I was born in 1982, which means
I
that
was 86.
yeah, so you're 4 years young, younger.
Yeah.
But was it 80 was it 86? So you were, let's see, 7 years old when this movie came out, because it came out in
6 or
93.
7. Yeah.
Yeah. And it came out in 1993, and I remembered it because like the trailers made it look fun and cool. Like, oh my God, the kids get to drive this car. Like as a kid, I was like, that would be so cool,
Yeah.
to steal a car, I guess. And yeah, and I had no idea when I first watched it that the main character, Josh, is played by the most annoying character in all of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh,
Which
really? Well, I didn't look at the IMDb, but he looked really familiar to me when I was watching the movie. Was
so
he in Free Willy?
no, that would be James Richter, something James Richter. Jason James Richter. That was the Free Willy kid. But have you ever seen the show Letterkenny?
I've
It's like
watched
a
like one
Canadian.
episode.
He's
I
he's
couldn't
in
really
it.
get into it.
He's like the pastor or something in it.
Okay.
So he's got a part. He's Canadian, so Are You for the Dark? I
Yeah.
was surprised about this because this is a very much a Hollywood movie done by Touchstone and does not
Right.
barely has any Canadian roots. I mean, other than the fact that they're supposed to go to Canada and stuff or whatever, that's their goal
Yeah.
is to go to
That's their
Canada.
mission.
That's their mission to go to Canada. But yeah, so but the lead guy was in Are You Afraid of the Dark, was in the first two seasons, and man, did
Okay.
he bother me in those two
Oh,
seasons.
really?
Because it wasn't because he was a bad actor at all. He was a
He was
great
always
actor.
he always played the annoying kid.
Yeah, he was the. Do you remember him in it? Like he was the.
I I know I watched that show a lot, but I really can only remember maybe one or two episodes. I think I
Right.
was pretty young.
Yeah, so he was this guy that was always like, kind of making, you know, kind of bad jokes, and he was kind
Yeah.
of he he was just annoying, on purpose. And then they got rid of him and they brought in Tucker. And Tucker became the new annoying kid guy, or whatever,
Gotcha.
which is the brother of Gary. And then when everybody else left except for Tucker, he for the next whatever seasons that they had, he was the new Gary, which he wasn't annoying. He was like the leader of the group. So anyway, it was kind of funny how that worked.
Hmm.
But this kid um was awesome. Like Jacob Tierney was awesome to see him in this movie. Like
Yeah.
because this was like the leading role, or whatever in a kid's movie. And unfortunately, it didn't do very well in the box office, and it's only gotten a VHS release, And
Right.
I read that the company that put it out has no MGM, I think it is. I think it's MGM. There's
Yeah.
no plans. Yeah, it's MGM because it's got the lion in the beginning of the, go roar, They have no plan. That actually, it's funny because I was watching it yesterday. I had the music up, and the lion roared, and my dog just looked up, going, "What?" Like that got his attention.
That'd be
Um,
pretty startling.
yeah, a little bit. Like, whoa, is there a lion in here? Um, but anyway, yeah, so apparently MGM has no plans to put this on DVD or Blu-ray, which sucks because it deserves at least a Blu-ray, release where people can come, check it out. And it deserved a DVD, but that's long past. There's no way
Yeah,
they put that up,
yeah,
but they might do it on Blu-ray now because a lot of boutique labels will find movies that people loved, back in the day that didn't do very well. And Super
yeah,
Mario Brothers, that really crappy one, not the really
right.
good one that just came out, but like the really bad one from 93, that
Yep,
one will get a yeah,
I
that one
saw
got
that one.
that,
Probably in theaters, actually.
I think I did too. I was a huge fan of I saw that and I saw Double Dragon in the theaters. So I
Yeah.
was big into my video game movies and stuff, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff. So anyway, this movie, so this, how would you, I know you hate doing this because I always ask you to do it, but how would you describe this movie, like if you had to tell people, about it?
So this movie is kind of a family dramedy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's got a little bit of, I mean, it's a dramatic story, but there's also a lot of comedy to it. So these two brothers, Josh and Sam, their parents are divorced and they've been living with their mom, but her mom gets married to this French guy and decides
Oh,
that she
she says he's French, but did he really I don't really feel like he had an accent or anything. Felt like he was
may
just called himself Jean-Pierre to sound cool or something. Like his name was actually John Peter, and he was like, I'm Jean-Pierre now, but he's really not French. I
well,
don't know.
anyways, whether he's French or not, they were going to plan to go live in Europe for a year, which was going to leave Josh and Sam living with their dad in Florida, who had remarried, had two kids from his new wife, apparently. And so they go to Florida and they're not
I
super
think they didn't
happy
have
with.
I don't think they had new ones. Like he had step kids basically.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I
that's what I meant.
Yeah, because I don't think because that would be
Right.
crazy considering they're the same age, if not older.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
them being played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I did
One of the
see it
kids.
in the yeah,
Yeah, so when you were watching it, you didn't notice that, but yeah,
until the credits. Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal was one of the kids that one of the brothers that kind of like teased Josh, or whatever.
We
We'll
all
get
got to
into that.
start somewhere.
He started out his dad was a filmmaker and his sister's a actress, so like it's kind of nepotism a little bit, but
Hmm.
I mean, hey, people who complain about nepotism wouldn't be complaining if they had nepotism,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that stuff. I just people who are like, oh, it's a nepo baby, and I'm like, dude, if you had a parent,
People just like to bitch about stuff.
I know. I would be like, dude, if you had a parent
Yeah.
that could do all these things, open all these things for you, you'd be
You wouldn't
pretty freaking happy
hesitate.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't ever call anybody that or say anything. In fact, if I
Yeah.
ever met somebody who had that situation, I tell them that they were, very lucky and blessed. But that is awesome,
Yeah.
because not many people have that and if I have children, I would give them that chance and I would let them be
Yeah.
a baby because I want to give a fuck if they want to, you know.
Absolutely.
I know you've got a child, ch children.
Well, actually, yeah, and I was going to mention that he's taking a film class in high school this year.
What? He's in high school this year?
Yeah, he's a freshman.
Jesus Christ. Man, your kids are
How did
growing
I
up
get
really
so
freaking.
old?
Oh shoot, we saw each other what 2 years ago, and yeah, I
Yeah,
guess he was in middle school then, but like
yeah,
I didn't think of anything like that, he didn't come to dinner with us that one night. Your
Yeah.
daughter did though, but your
I mean,
son,
I kind of try to let them make their own decisions
yeah,
when possible. If they don't want to come to something with me, I'm not going to force them, you know.
right. Of course.
We definitely spend plenty of time together.
Yeah, and if they want to not spend time with you or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, do their
that's
own thing.
well, as long as they don't steal somebody's car and drive off and
Yes, I would hope that neither of my children would do that. But the situation that Josh and Sam were in, they felt misunderstood. They're still healing from the divorce. Um,
apparently there was a sister. I saw something about that.
I
I did not get that at all from any conversations. There
didn't
was
catch a sister.
that died or something, I don't know. I read that somewhere where it was saying, oh, when Josh opens up to Sam about their sister that died, and I'm like, wait, what? When did that happen? And maybe I read that wrong because that did not happen, did it?
I don't think so.
I don't know. That's weird. Um, I'd have to look this up because there is a Wikipedia for it, right? And it goes into all the plot and stuff too. And so maybe it'll tell us that. Because I don't yeah, so Josh is feeling like he's the black sheep of the dad's new family.
Yeah.
Wants to get revenge on Sam for always siding with their stepbrothers. So that was how
Mhm.
it all started. Is the stepbrothers kept calling him a homo, which that's a
Yeah.
terrible thing to say, but
Yeah.
you know,
This was early 90s though.
yeah,
Everything's politically correct nowadays.
it is sort of, but the people don't say that because like we live in a situation in town where, or in a world where we sort of like kind of accept things a lot more,
Yeah.
and stuff, which is nice, but there are still probably people who would say nasty things like that and whatnot. And they'd be the villains of the
Yeah.
movies. Sorry, my dog is trying trying to leave. Um, but he can't because the door's shut and he doesn't know how to open up the door yet. Yeah,
Hmm.
he'll figure it out one day. So yeah, so Josh uh decides, so he I guess he gets really upset at dinner and storms off. I think when was this? Was this later? Because was this after he
Yeah, because
found
I
out that
think I
his
think that night he went into his dad's office
yep.
and accessed this 1993 computer and was able to do all this fancy editing.
Yeah, he was able to make this like little
I
sheet
think
that
the computer that I would have had in 1993 was like one of those big, like, uh, I'm bad about brands. Just it was like one of those small cubes.
right.
Like
We
you couldn't do much on it.
we had a what Apple IIc computer, like one of the first computers ever existed. And my dad brought it to my fifth grade class, right? And had them so I could write out my answers and my stuff onto paper, onto, because I had the worst handwriting. It's not probably much better now, but I had the worst handwriting ever. And so we did that, and my teacher had that for years. I remember I grew up and I was in my 20s and I saw my old teacher and she said they still had it. So I don't know if they still have it.
Crazy.
I doubt they still have it now, but that would be insane because that thing was ancient in
Yeah.
1990 something, or whatever, it was like like I said, Apple IIc. It was like one of the 80s, 1980,
Yeah.
early 80s ones, models and stuff. So one of the first computers before things really blew up. So, but anywho, let's see. Yeah. So, they use this fancy schmancy stuff, make this thing that says Sam. which was what was it, something what does
So
stand for?
Josh made this thing and he tricked Sam, his little brother. I don't know. I mean, I know Sam was little, but I don't know how he believed this. But Josh had Sam believing that he was actually a child warrior robot
Called us
who they
Sam.
the Pentagon was trying to retrieve him to help fight this war in Africa.
And Sam actually stood for strategically altered mutant, which I mean, okay, so let's take it back to like when you were a kid. Would you have liked this movie, do you think?
I think so, actually. And my reasoning for that is I myself am a child of divorce.
Right.
And so I know very, very well how difficult it is to go through that and still try to, maintain friends and, pay attention in school, all that kind of thing. I mean, it can be pretty traumatic going back and forth. A lot of times you just feel like you don't belong anywhere. So
Wh
I really liked that message in the film.
which one did you relate to more, Josh or Sam?
Probably Josh because I'm the oldest in my family.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Josh. And yeah, so okay, so yeah, I mean, like as a kid, I loved it. I remember loving it. I remember renting it on VHS and watching it, probably copying it on VHS and watching it over and over and over again. It was one of those movies that but I didn't remember it because I hadn't seen it in
Yeah.
so long that I don't remember a damn thing. Like I don't remember there was, I mean, other than the car or whatever driving the car, I remember that, but only because that's like in that's like the whole gimmick, or whatever, Um, Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars and he did not like it, but he said kids will like this movie, you know.
Yes.
Probably he said ages 6 to 12 will like this movie because this will be exactly what those kids will want, would
Yeah.
want to do. They would want to take a car and go on a road trip and have, money and pizza and, like all the pizza you can eat, and
Yeah.
all this other shit. And so I totally agree with that. Like, I think this would be like a perfect movie for kids. Like your daughter might like it, but your son may not, because it's too kiddie.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Jonathan. I don't think either one of them would want to watch.
Well, it's not, I guess it's a little slower for kids these days.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't get it
I
like it.
don't know though. We sometimes watch YouTube videos of people cleaning carpets, so
Okay.
who knows? Maybe they would like it. I'm not
Um,
saying it was, I'm not comparing the movie to that, but honestly, I felt like it was missing something, and I don't know if it was just the music,
right, that
because
you said that the version that you
the
watched didn't have any music.
yeah, and I didn't. I'm surprised I didn't realize it sooner, but about 15 to 20 minutes in,
Hmm.
I was like, what's missing? I knew something was missing, and then I
Hmm.
finally realized I'm like, where's the music?
So I was telling Liz before, because we were talking about that, and there's 2 versions of this movie that you can find on YouTube. There's 2 links, and the first link is the one I sent her, and I checked it out and I watched it, and I started going, okay, wait. So there's a scene where Josh is in his bedroom and he's looking for some stuff, and so Sam, they're packing up or whatever. And I'm like, this is usually when music would come because it was
Yeah,
very calm. Like there was nothing except them doing whatever they were doing. So there was just no music and no nothing. And I was just like, this is strange. I don't like this.
yeah,
So I went to the next one. I went to the next one and just skipped to that scene. and it still had nothing. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe there wasn't anything in here. And then the music kicked in later,
Oh.
for another scene. So I was like, okay. And then I didn't check back on that other one. So I'm guessing the one I sent you just didn't have any music. And the other one, and that might have been to get away from copyright strikes.
Copyright. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
And I think because there is some songs in it that are songs that could be copyright strike
Well,
songs.
and I could be wrong, but I thought I read that Hans Zimmer was the composer.
Hmm. I think so.
Yeah, I mean he's fantastic. I mean,
So you're kind of
I
bummed that you can't
probably
listen to his score.
so for me personally, like music and film are just, I mean, they go hand in hand. You can't have a film without music, really. It kind of sets the tone for what you're watching, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, so yeah, I think if you'd saw it in its, stuff with all the music and everything like that and back in, I think you would have
Yeah.
appreciated it a little bit more. And that might be why it didn't go on DVD or Blu-ray because you have to redo the rights each time you do a medium and stuff. And so
Yeah.
there might have been issues with some of the music and some of the other stuff, but um yeah, so that kind of sucks. But anyway, I I I didn't mind the rest of the movie, and I think I did hear music, so it wasn't like oh man, this is great music, like or whatever. This is just like,
Yeah.
there's background noise other than what's going on right with them. Um, so basically, when they find out that they are, and he tells his brother that he's strategically altered mutant or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. He says they end up because he ends up telling him that because he's just mad at him, right?
Yeah.
And apparently they don't like each other, they said, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they loved each other no matter what. Even Sam at one point tells him, "I don't want to. You're not my brother anymore. I'm divorcing you."
That's normal sibling stuff.
But
Believe me.
it sounded so funny because I was like, because the kid's like, "You can't divorce me. Like, it doesn't work like that, Sam." And I'm like, I'm kind of laughing about it. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's sibling, it's children's stuff. It's and that was what I liked about it. It felt like it was written
Yeah.
for children for sure. Like it was not written by as adults, or whatever. Even though Josh is pretty freaking smart, you know,
Yeah.
like his character is very smart. He's able to do all these. You okay? My dog is like coughing, so I didn't know if he was having a choking or something. Um, but anyway, yeah, there was some really brilliant the stuff he did with the credit card and you know, whose credit card was that? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, honestly.
Because I was
But
like,
I was really impressed too with the way his character was able to talk his way out of just about any situation.
mm, he was able to talk his way out of situations. They end up having to go to a motel before being sent back to the mother.
Right.
The Jean-Pierre is gonna pick them up, and then they're gonna go fly back out to Orlando to be with the dad while the mom goes out. So they were gonna like, I guess, pack up all the rest of their stuff and go back. Instead of that, he goes out to a party that's at the hotel, and
Oh, the reunion.
yeah, the reunion, and I guess he got a sticker of somebody there so that he can pretend like he's part of it or whatever. And
Yeah.
they're like, "You're not that person that you're got a picture." It's like, "Oh, that's no, that's my mom, or whatever." And then the Chris Penn's character Chris Penn was in like Reservoir Dogs and a bunch of other big time movies. He was Sean Penn's brother, who fortunately Chris Penn passed away years ago. So he didn't have the lifelong stuff that Sean Penn has had,
Hmm.
but both of them were in a ton of movies, in the 80s and 90s. And so he comes out and he was like, "Oh, basically thinking, oh my God, you're my kids, you're my kid, and everything like that. Oh my God." And I was like, "Really? He thinks you're like you think you're that's so weird. I don't know."
Yeah.
But he wants to take them to their grandparents' house, I guess, or whatever, and give them food and it was just really weird. Um,
Yeah,
he's
it
drunk.
was for sure.
He's drunk and driving, and he ends up taking him to the grandparents' house, and Josh walks up, hoping he can explain to these people that are at this house that like, can you just go along with this or something just to get this guy away from us? Or maybe he was going to tell him that like there's this
Yeah.
guy and he might be touching us or something, so please help us get away from him, or whatever. Uh, which they would have known who he was, the son, I guess, or whatever. Or maybe I don't know. Anyway, it got really weird and nobody was there. So he sneaks in the
Yeah.
back way, breaks and enters into the house. Breaks and enters into the house. So he's already breaking so many freaking laws. Like, and they end up he ends up letting them in and stuff, and the guy finds out that that that's not their house or like something like that. There was something weird that
Oh
happened.
yeah, he saw a picture of the woman that he thought was this kid's mom, and it was totally different family.
Right. And he got really upset and he tries to, you know, um he tries to like, come after the kid.
Yeah.
Like at that rate, just leave, don't go after the kid. Like, like you're now you're much older than a child,
Right.
like whatever. But he tries to attack a 12-year-old kid and the kid gets a pool cue and knocks him out. But he thinks he's dead because he felt his pulse and didn't find any. He probably you know where the pulse is. He probably touched the wrong area or something, so he thought,
Yeah. Well, he probably just did what he'd seen in TV and movies.
yeah. And so he touched the pulse and thought there was no pulse, so he thought he killed him. And so for the most of the movie, almost all the movie, he thinks he's a murderer, which I knew right then and there he had just knocked the dude out. There's no way he could
Yeah.
have murdered that guy with, like, if he had kept hitting him, or whatever until
Yeah.
whatever, like he might have murdered him, but like knocking him out like that just knocked him out, like whatever. So therefore they freak out and they steal his car and and um Josh, well, Sam wants to drive. And Josh is like, you're too young, you can't drive. I gotta drive. I look a little older, which in real life, I believe Jacob Tierney was about 14 or 15. So he was
Hmm.
closer to the age of actually being able to drive. Still
Yeah.
too young to actually drive. So how cool is it that a kid gets to pretend to drive and gets away with it? Like that
Yeah.
that was probably Jacob's like shining moment at that particular time in life.
Right.
Oh my God, I get to drive and I was like, how the heck is Sam driving at all like as tiny as he is?
Yeah. I wouldn't think his feet would be able to reach the pedals.
So either like he would have to be literally like so close that he's like touching the steering wheel with his face that he would be able to reach. But apparently they made it work. I don't know when he did drive. Um because at one point Josh drives and then later Sam drives and he's going like I don't 200 miles an hour or something down the road. And Josh is trying to tell him calm down, slow down because we don't want to get pulled over and whatnot. And um he does. Like my, my favorite little part is like comes out of the car to like switch, right? And this
Hmm.
guy's in a tractor randomly, like, driving by, and
Yeah.
he's like switching drivers. I was like, I was like, wait, that guy did not just notice that that was a 12-year-old kid. Like,
Well, to be fair though, farming in rural areas, they're used to letting their kids drive that stuff.
a Grand Prix, whatever car.
Well, not that.
That was a very nice looking sports car or whatever, like a really nice like I um I posted that we were going to be doing this to a 90s nostalgia group. I like to post a lot of the movies that I watched from the 90s into that group. And
Yeah.
they so many people had said either they forgot about this movie and they used to love it, or they love this movie and stuff like that. And most of the people commented on the car because that's what's in the poster. So they were like, oh, that Grand Prix, or one person said they had a green Grand Prix, 1993 Grand Prix. Now that was a 92, so it wasn't the same car, but I think it was a Pontiac Grand Prix.
Hmm.
So it's a nice freaking car. Um,
Yeah.
but you have to have a nice car if you're gonna make a whole movie about a road trip with them driving a car. Is like they're not gonna want to do a whole road trip movie in a Volkswagen, you know.
Right.
No offense to people who drive Volkswagens. I'm just saying they're not the nicest to look at, you know.
They needed something a little sporty.
Yeah. So of course they get this really nice car from the sky, which okay. He wakes up. What's the first thing he's gonna do? Yeah, he wakes up
I don't know.
from his knockout. He's gonna call the cops and he's gonna say, "My car is missing."
Is he gonna call the cops though? If you were a man in your 40s or 50s and you just been knocked out by a 12-year-old,
No,
would
he
you
did
call
call
the
the cops. He
police?
did call the
Oh, he
cops
did?
because remember there was that line that the father says later that he talked to the Dallas police or whatever, the Texas police, and they said that he never killed the man. The man was still alive. So
Right.
obviously the man talked to the cops and probably told all
Well,
those embarrassing things, you know.
probably to report his car stolen
Well,
too.
no, no, but he also told that he got knocked out by a kid
Yeah.
because obviously he had to, whatever. But so yeah, you're gonna report that and you're gonna report your license and
Hmm.
your license plate. And most likely you wouldn't be able to get out of Texas without cops like finding you
Right.
or whatever. So we're I don't know how far that goes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if they tr go from what is it? The next state over and all the people in the next state over knows, what's going on or whatever. But that the car is missing and stuff. But anyway, because they like in that movie they go from Texas to like I don't know, like Montana or something, like pretty
Yeah.
freaking quick.
That's what I was thinking.
Like he's and I was like thinking, how is he gonna do gas, right? Like how's he gonna pay for gas? Then we find out he's got a stolen credit card that he can get money from, like cash from and stuff and whatnot. So he ends up just getting cash and then paying for that with credit cards and stuff, so that he doesn't have to sign the credit cards, which we do get a scene with that. You remember that scene with the
With
man
the
asking
ATM?
well, the man asking him to sign the thing or getting his parent to sign the thing is like, oh, my parents can't sign for it. Or my dad can't sign for it. But if I do it, I leave a $50 tip. It was like, okay, you can, you know, right? So he does that, and I thought that was kind of cute. So all along the way, they're on their way to Canada. That's like their trip to get to Canada. And even though Josh tells Sam, you know, right? Josh tells Sam um what happened, or that everything's like not real, that what he told him
Right.
was not real. Sam does not believe him, you know. Sam wants to believe that he is this, because to him it makes sense, like as you said, like there was, something, there's tragic stuff that happened with you, and if somebody had told you you were a robotic warrior sent to fight wars as a child, warrior or whatever, you might believe it if you were like,
Hmm.
I had such a tragic life and
Yeah.
nobody understands me, and this totally makes sense now. And so when somebody says, "Oh, I was just kidding about that," you might be like, "Well, no, you're not. Now you're just saying that
Yeah.
so we don't go on our trip anymore, or whatever, like so,
Yeah.
so he's like, well, he's not believing me. And they mentioned something to him about the Liberty Maid, you know.
Yes.
Where did that come from? I don't remember him mentioning the Liberty Maid originally.
They were sitting somewhere. I feel were they on a train at some point
I think so, maybe.
or a bus maybe?
Something.
Well, I remember they were sitting and eating lunch together one day
And
while
then
they were on their trip, and they were drinking these little apple juice cartons that had this woman on the front with blonde wavy hair and this big red hat.
hmm
And so that's where Josh came up with the
Okay.
story of the Liberty Maid.
And everything. She's part of the, war, in Africa, I guess, and everything.
Yeah.
And so they're driving down the road and they see this lady walking or hitchhiking, and they're like, "That's the Liberty Maid. Stop. We need to pick up the Liberty Maid." And he's trying to tell him there is no Liberty Maid. What are you talking about? And so he stops, lets the chick in. He has we I forgot to mention they also were driving down the road and a cop drives right by them.
Right.
So he puts on his hoodie so the cop doesn't notice who he is, and how young he is, and whatnot. And then when they pick up the Liberty Maid, he's got, or the Allison, as her real name is, they pick her up, and she was played by Martha Plimpton, who is a wonderful
She
actress.
was fantastic.
Yeah, she was probably one of the best parts about the movie.
Yeah.
She just went along. Well, at first she didn't, but anyway, she was like, "Oh, thank you for picking me up," and blah 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 blah. And as they're driving, she starts to notice like the one kid's a kid, and who's the driver? And the driver's not speaking, is not, whatever. And then she starts noticing, like take off the, thing, and it turns out to be what's her name? It turns out to be it's Josh. And so he's
Josh.
like,
Yeah.
she's just like,
It's
pull
like pull
over.
over.
Yeah, pull over. I don't want to be arrested when your dad, be a part of this when your dad, finds out you stole his car, which I think would be the normal response of thinking of like, they're now driving dad's stolen car, like,
Hmm.
which no, they're stealing somebody else's car that's random, not their dad, who thought he was their dad. Uh, right. Very confusing. Um,
Yeah, it was confusing at times for sure.
so anyway, he convinces her to stay as long as she drives, and he pays for everything, So they drive, and the road trip continues, you know. And she finds out all this stuff that Josh has been telling Sam, and she just goes along with it, I don't know what her game was for it, but um
Well, there was this moment when they were driving and she's hearing all of this, what Josh has been telling Sam. And I feel like she kind of understands it or at least respects it and
Hmm.
sees that he's kind of doing this out of love and protection for his brother.
Right. No, I agree. I think that's it. I think you're right that she picks up on that,
Hmm.
and I think because there's a line later in the movie where he said she wasn't the Liberty Maid. So who was she? And he said, Josh says I don't know, just probably, another person like us that had a worse, had a worse life or worse home, just trying to run away and everything. And I never really got
Yeah.
that. I never got that though from her. I couldn't. I think the only reason he thought that was when she tried to get him to go to Seattle, Washington, because apparently that was the cheapest place to live, and stuff. And she was telling Josh, who's 12 years old, and she is obviously I think she looked like she was in her 20s. She could have been a little younger in the character, but like Martha Plimpton was Martha Plimpton played a teen in 1985, right? Like
Yeah.
Goonies. Like there was no way she was not in her, like in her 20s. I think she was 8 years older than uh Jacob Tierney and stuff. So he was supposed to be 12, so she was at least 20 something in
Yeah.
real life, you know. It was actually she was born in 1970 if I remember correctly. So 1970, yeah, so she was 23 at the time and she looked like it like she did not look like a teenager to me.
Right.
I didn't buy that for a second. But I didn't mind it. Like it didn't bother me because I was just like I was going with it. But when she was like, "Oh, we should, like basically screw your brother. Let's go together and go off." And then she was even like having him like, next to her in the bed.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
And he's like all awkward about it because he's like, I don't want to sit next to a girl. He's like
Yeah.
12, dude. It's like I'm
Yeah.
thinking about that. Like he's doesn't even have hormones, he's a child. So he was just like sitting there next to, Martha Plimpton at night and just feeling a little awkward. And I think she liked him. Um or whatever. But that never really like she does kiss him on the cheek when she goes to bed. So there's that. But there's no real like grossness to it. Like there wasn't
Right.
anything where, she was trying to get with him or something and he was very confused about everything. Um so all right, so to continue, I guess so they just go on this road trip and like there's there's things that happen, but like there's a lot, like they run out of gas at one point.
Right.
Um and when they run out of gas, I don't know, wait, was that before or after the tampon thing? Or not tampon thing, the pad, the maxi pad C where he
Yeah.
puts it on his head and he supposed to be like a robot thing or something. And then the two bullies come out. Is that before they ran out of gas or is that after? I want to say that was before.
I think that was before.
Yeah. So they're kind of like fucking around with poor Sam, who is believing everything that these guys are telling them, even though none of it is true.
Yeah.
And so and he's doing dangerous shit that he shouldn't be doing
Mhm.
because he believes he's this strong, warrior.
Indestructible robot.
Exactly. You know, um, I don't know. So he comes in and was it they're they do when they do run out of gas, they go and stop at a place to eat food or whatever, before like getting a gas tank and stuff, or after they get the gas tank. and they see a cop, and freaking Sam just starts staring at the dude like hardcore, just looking at him, and they're like, Sam, you can't be just staring at people like that.
Yeah.
And of course that draws his attention, and he's like, trying to talk to them, and everything. And Martha Plimpton's not actually related to them, so she says, "Oh, I'm, their babysitter," and
Right.
kind of screws that up when she says she just moved or whatever, because she doesn't have a like whatever whatever place they're in at that particular moment. They go from city to or state to state. I mean,
Hmm.
I was like, damn, they really did a road trip.
Covered a lot of area.
I know. Actually, it's funny because like it really was filmed like all over the place too. It was filmed like Utah and Nevada, I think, a bunch of different places, that all have like, desert, areas and stuff. In fact, that road, I believe, the big road, like somebody was saying like the big road that they were on, that they were driving on or whatever, was the road where what's his name? Forrest Gump runs, or something. I don't know if it was that road, but it was like one of the roads that they were on was the road that, Forrest Gump is running really fast and,
Yeah.
everything on. So, I thought that was kind of interesting to think about that that was like a year later, like 94, so they're,
Right.
they're like, oh, Josh and Sam didn't work, but let's see if this movie Forrest Gump will be a big hit, which has a worst sounding title. Like when I first heard the movie Forrest Gump, I was like, I don't know if I want to see anything with the word Gump in it, you know? Right? And then I watched it. I thought it was the most brilliant fucking movie in the world.
Yeah.
Um, and now when I was in LA, I got to see like Bubba Gump shrimp, you know? They actually have
Right.
those. You can actually go and buy Bubba Gump shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever done that or not, but
Um, I think there's one at or at least there used to be one at Kings Island in Ohio.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I guess it's a real chain now. There's let's really get these out there, it's weird to see something that was from a movie become reality,
Right, right.
But anywho, so um yeah, so they're talking to the cop and the cop kind of starts realizing and they want to talk to Josh's mother and Josh was like, "Sure. Do you have a what was a TED machine or something?
TTD.
TTD machine." And it's a basically something for the deaf
Right.
deaf people to communicate. And then he goes on this big rant with the cop, and everything.
With the hand motions.
I know. And I was like, oh man, this dude's gonna get
Oh,
arrested. And nope, the cop just felt like really embarrassed, by this whole
yeah.
situation that he didn't know, like, oh my God. And so he tried to leave, and the cop goes bloop bloop and says, "Oh, at the station we have one." And
Hmm.
so they knew they were busted. There's what else can they do? But Sam runs as fast as he can, and there's a train, and I think there was an explanation of how they did it, but they had, I mean, it was pretty cool because he ran under the train and
Right.
made it, you know, and that is dangerous as I don't know, like
Hmm.
like that's insane. And then so Josh and Martha Plimpton or Allison jump on the train as well and get off, and the cop has to wait, or whatever, and you know he doesn't get them, and
Right.
we never see that cop again, or whatever,
He probably
and
lost his job.
probably not. I would hope not over that because I mean, if if like a kid can run underneath the train and survive, and and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. Um, but like he did that because he thought he was a warrior, and stuff. He truly believed he was this warrior, which actually makes me wonder if like more people should just believe in who they are, or whatever. And
Yeah.
maybe you'll be able to do all these crazy things you never thought you could do. Which is kind of a good message to send to people,
Yeah.
my opinion. But anyway, they get back in the car and they drive off after getting into a little fight, a little scuffle together. They get in the car, drive off, and after putting some gas in the car, and they leave the gas tank thing, which I thought that was stupid. Unless, like, I was like, don't they have some more gas to still put in there? Like, there's no way you put all the gas in the tank, you know, or whatever. I would
Hmm.
I would have brought that gas uh, thing in the can in the car. Like
Right.
I would not have left it there, but anywho, yeah. So they end up going on this trip, and then Allison, I think, is getting sick of it. Like
Yeah.
she's tired of lying to this kid not and the kid not believing it anyway. So she's just like, let me find this random dude, have him call up the place we're at and pretend to be, and Josh catches on, but Sam like totally believes that the war is over. That Africa is, because all the kids just said no, we're done, and that was enough to stop the war, apparently in
Hmm.
Africa. And so he doesn't believe it because his powers aren't he doesn't feel like his powers are disappearing, I guess. And the only way they can plot, well, later, I guess is after Allison leaves, all this other stuff, they feel like the only way they can get rid of the powers and everything is looking like Orange Man, you know, doing a tanning bed, a tanning salon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that kid. I don't know what they did. They would not have been allowed to put a kid actually in there, I don't think.
Oh, no.
I don't know what the age limit is for that in real life, but I think they would have, so they had to do some makeup where like
Right.
some of his face is, done, but the glasses are covering, so like the rest of his eyes, like, it just looks so fucking weird. I was laughing, but I was like, oh man, I kind of feel bad for this kid now because he looks
Yeah.
terrible. But that was after Allison left and they tried to go to Canada still. Um, and I guess they separated because Sam stole the car, right? Yeah. So Sam stole
Yeah.
the car from Josh, and that was when he stole it from Josh and Allison. That's when Allison decided to go her own way or something. And Josh tries to find Sam and finds the car broken down, you know, and can't find him. So he goes in a bus, gets on a bus and sees Sam on the back of a car trying to go into Canada, you know. I'm like, is it really that easy to get into Canada that way? Like, I mean, I guess as a kid,
Well, this was 1993 too.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess like yeah, it would be a little bit easier maybe back then in the 90s. But not that. I still think like I don't think they would let a kid, right, go into Canada without an adult like present.
Yeah.
Like that just sounds like a terrible idea. But they don't go into Canada, I don't think. I don't think they even cross the border, do they?
Mm-mm.
They're going to, but they don't. Um, and then I guess they snuck in somewhere. They go underneath um like a big gate, fence, and go
Hmm.
under. And I'm like, what is the point of having all those barbed wires and all this other stuff if people can
You
just
can just
lift it
slide
up,
underneath.
like slide underneath? Like that just sounds like shoddy, work right there. Like anybody can
Yeah,
just sneak in or whatever. I don't know if because I was wondering if they were in Canada for like a split second or something, and then but whatever. So Josh wants Sam to go home, right? And
right.
Josh doesn't want to go home because I guess he doesn't want to face his father about with the murder charge and stuff. He even told his father. I love that scene where he calls his father up on the phone and he tells him like I murdered somebody. And he's like, out of all the asinine things you've ever told me, to do whatever. And Sam gets on the phone and yells and curses at his dad. And then Allison gets on and says, "This is the Liberty Man." Just was bawling at that time because I was like, that poor father, because he's not a bad dad at all. He doesn't beat them.
Yeah,
He doesn't mistreat them. He doesn't, um, he doesn't. Maybe he takes like I think part of the problem was he took the other kids' sides or whatever, and
yeah.
he doesn't like the fact that Josh can't, catch a ball or whatever, and stuff like that. And by the end of the movie, Josh can catch a ball, which, I guess I don't know, was that supposed to be like his arc, like, his
Yeah.
completion of his arc. Um, but anyway, yeah, he didn't feel like his dad was like that. So his dad was very kind of I don't know. His dad was just, it was played by Stephen Tobolowsky, and I fucking love that guy.
He's hilarious.
He's in so many great movies. One of my,
Groundhog Day.
that's what I was thinking. It was like Ned Ryerson. That's my favorite role of his. I'm actually friends with him on Facebook, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
are you?
so yeah, it's gonna be great when I post this, and maybe I'll tag him in it and everything, and he'll be like, unfriend, blocked. You know, because because nobody showed up. Did you read that? Did you
No.
read that nobody showed up to the premiere except for the two kids and their families?
Really?
Yeah, no cast or crew showed up to the premiere.
Dang.
So that's terrible. Like, could you imagine this being your like big big break and like only you and your family are there? Like, that's just sad.
Yeah.
Especially since it's not a bad movie. Like it's not,
It's
I
really
don't,
not.
it's not like this was awfully directed, awfully acted, awfully produced, and things don't make any, like some stuff don't make any sense, but like it doesn't really like bother me that some of those stuff
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Um, so yeah, and as I said, like so many people say they love this movie, or they they couldn't remember the title, but they remembered the movie, or whatever, And I just always remember I remember seeing it, and it had to have been 93, and I remember going, this was fun, like like this is something I watched over and over again. Um,
Hmm.
so. So to end it, I guess they started to uh he sort of he tells them that like everything's gone because he did the did the stuff with the salon. By the way, that was Udo Kier, who's a big like he's been in a bunch of horror films and stuff.
Hmm.
And he is the salon guy, or whatever that the host, the owner of the salon or whatever, the tanning salon. And then they send Josh sends Sam to go back to Orlando, and he
Right.
doesn't want to go because he's afraid and all that stuff. He sends Sam back. Sam meets up with the dad, and the dad is just happy to have him home. He's upset, of course, I mean, if one of your kids did something like this and stuff, you'd be upset, you'd probably be yelling at them, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, but you'd also be very happy to have them home.
right.
You would have been, because it would have been a relief from all the things, the stress and being scared and
Yeah,
stuff. So
absolutely.
I kind of wish we got to see more of the dad and his like reaction to everything, you know? Like, because like that's terrifying, to have your kid, to have your kid, be like
Be in a
kids be
situation
missing.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So is your little one in the lap right now as well?
They're not so little. I think they're getting antsy. I think they hear or smell something outside. I don't know.
Hmm. My one has finally calmed down, so I'm gonna let him keep calm for the little bit, for the last like whatever, and then hopefully he'll be okay when we go to bed because, I don't he was antsy too, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
he has chilled. So anyway, so to go back, so they're there and Jo um Josh finally, I guess, decides he's gotta he's gotta well, you gotta find out about the guy. So he finds out the guy's name and phone number, and
And he calls him.
he calls him, and that guy was pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're a little brat, blah 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 blah." And he was like, "Oh my God, you're alive." It's like, "Of course I'm alive." Like, and he just hangs up on him because that's all he needed to hear was,
Yeah, but he was
he
alive.
never
He
that
wanted
he
confirmation.
murdered. And then we hear that the dad tells Sam that he never murdered anybody, blah blah blah. I'm glad they did Josh first, that we got that confirmation before then, because I would have rather seen and not been told, and then like, and then the
Right.
reverse happening, because I would have rather that happening. But yeah, so both of them find out that that happened, and Josh decides to come home. He hasn't murdered anybody. Um, on IMDb, there's a list of all the bad things that Josh did that are illegal, by the way. So I'm gonna pull this up because this is hilarious. Um, he really, he really did some some not so legal shit, you know. Um, where having one hand is kind of hard sometimes to do all this stuff. Um, wow, you can buy this movie from Prime Video for $20. I'm
Oh,
surprised about that. I may do that at some point just because, like, so I can have it,
so we
Maybe
can watch
the
it with the
music.
music.
Yeah, you'll have to come to Virginia and we'll watch it with the music so you can, or at least a little bit so you can at least hear what the music was like. Um, I don't know if you'd want to watch the movie again, you know. Um,
I'd probably watch it again.
yeah, it's not that bad. Like I liked it. It's it used to be like one of my favorite movies growing up, I guess, Okay, so there's some really cool, fun trivia. Um, but the um, Josh committed various criminal offenses throughout the movie. Among them include fraud, breaking and entering, assault with a weapon, grand theft auto, child abduction, child endangerment,
Oh,
driving without a license, and illegally entering a foreign country without documentation. I don't
so
remember
they
that.
did.
Like, so they
So
guess
they
they did
did get
go
into
to it.
Canada.
I guess, but I don't remember them being in Canada, like,
Yeah, I
or
don't
anything.
either.
I remember them going underneath the fence, and I wonder if that was them coming into
Oh,
Canada a little bit. But I'm
right.
like, if it's that easy, then why would people, like, more illegal people would go in there? I don't know. Yeah, because it says the border crossing Josh and Sam sneak into Canada at is the port of Coutts, Canada, which is located at the Alberta-Montana border. The Coutts
Oh, okay.
Sweetgrass border crossing ranks among the busiest crossings along the Canada-US border. But like buses just go through Canada? Like, hey, I want to get a ride to Canada through the bus,
Yeah.
and like the bus drivers just go into Canada and then come back out, and then go to Canada and come back out. Yeah, that's just weird to me. Um, and I feel like that's not, if that was, like that's not something that they do now. Um, the fake train car used to film Sam's dangerous crawl under the moving train was made out of foam rubber, and it had cost $45,000. So,
Dang.
it is rumored that the script for Josh and Sam is based on real life events in the life of Josh and Sam Rosen in 1990. While not as dramatic, these two brothers embarked on a similar misadventure in Woodbridge, Connecticut, involving a stolen car and police chase following a family squabble. The two were eventually found by authorities hiding in their friend Brad Taylor's treehouse. Brad Taylor was reading a book on a bench elsewhere at the time. It's kind of funny. Um, yeah, so it says Jacob Tierney and Noah Fleiss and their families attended the premiere, though none of the other actors or crew members did. Um,
That's so weird. I wonder if there was a reason for that.
yeah, I mean, my other idea is that they could have just had a bad time filming it and stuff, or, because how are they supposed to know at the premiere that this movie's going to bomb? They didn't know that,
Yeah.
so they probably, I mean, I don't know. Um, let's see. So yeah, um so Sam or Josh gets home, and that's when he catches the football or whatever, you know, and he talks to Sam and he's like, "Hey, I'm back," you know. Um and Sam punches him really hard and stuff and says, "You should have told me that this wasn't true." And he's like, "I tried to tell you and you didn't believe me."
Yeah.
I mean, I remember him trying to tell him a bunch of times,
Right.
this isn't true. I made this up. This was just to get you back for being a dick to me earlier, you know? But now all of a sudden you believe everything I'm saying because you're a freaking, what, like 10-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid or whatever he was. He's a child. He's gonna believe his big brother,
Right.
So he, oh, we forgot to mention the beginning of the movie. He's very violent. Like he kicks the ball,
Oh, Sam.
soccer ball. Yeah, Sam. And then he goes and beats the crap out of the kid that's making fun of him, calling me an alien. And that's why he believed he was this robot, is because he people
Yeah.
kept teasing him, calling him an alien. Um, but then he said, "Then why did you come back?" And he said, "Because I loved you, because I love you, and stuff like that." And they guess they didn't love each. They say they didn't love each. They always loved each other, I think. They just,
Right. They did.
yeah, they just. I mean, when you're two kids, you're two brothers, and you're both different. You know, um, you just kind of deal with all the shit. So
Yeah.
together, and I get along well with my brother, but like he's 8 years older than me. Like when we were kids whatever. And even when we got older, I mean, we still hang out, we still do stuff. So, I mean, but it's, he's older than me, and everything. So we don't have the same interests and we don't, all that stuff. So we
Yeah.
we do more now, than we did back then when we were younger. Um, but anyway, so I don't know. All in all, I really enjoyed this movie. Aw. What's your dog's name?
That's yucky kissies. This is Ruby.
Ruby. Okay.
She's a little pit bull mix.
Aw.
She's ferocious.
She seems
Try to
very
sit in my
scary.
lap.
She's
Come
very
here.
she very scary.
Okay.
Look
Dear.
at her. She's terrifying. Oh man. My toy poodle can get ferocious. He
The
can
most.
actually, you know, he can get in a mood and they're,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and he was try to bite you, and I'm like, you asshole, don't do that, But now he's laying in my lap, just hopefully sleeping. He seems very calm right now, so hoping that I put him on the bed when we're done, and then just cuddle with him, and he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I honestly I enjoyed rewatching this movie. Um, I watched it last night after I did my other podcast I did last night, and I was like, this is really this is really fun, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I was too surprised because, on obviously I'd seen it when I was younger. Like I said, I don't remember anything. Like I remember
Right.
stealing car, and that's it. Um, I don't know if I'll remember anything after this though. Like,
Yeah.
is it really that memorable? Like, there's some things I'll pick up from it. I just think it's hilarious that what's his name? Chris Penn is in this movie, considering most of the stuff he did was like 91 he did Reservoir Dogs, and then 93 the same year he was in True Romance, as this movie. So like it's weird to see him play like a, you know, just a drunk, you know, asshole guy that
Yeah.
thinks like those are his kids or whatever. Like, even if you thought those were your kids, like what was his
Yeah, it was weird. I think he was honestly just really desperate to connect with this woman that he'd loved in high school.
mm, that's why he went to the reunion, and that's why he he thought that was his kids, I guess. So did that mean that he had the kids and then just abandoned them or something? I don't know. Like what, like
Pothole.
beefing? I don't know. What was your favorite scene in the movie, honestly?
Um, I really liked the scene where they picked up the Liberty Maid, Allison.
All the
I
stuff
don't
with them
know.
talking to her and everything, and
Yeah,
her going along with it and stuff. She was like, I'm the Liberty Maid. And
right,
Josh was so mad, like, don't so you're now making him believe it more, like we're trying to get him to stop believing this.
right,
But she was like, I think she was thinking, why not believe it? Why not? And so I don't know. I think that was it. I think that was honestly, I think at the end of the movie, because because Sam talked to um the dad, about it, and
right,
he how he felt about his dad, and how he's kind of treated his normal sons worse than his stepsons and stuff, like, and that's why Josh doesn't, and that Josh doesn't he can't catch the balls, and he can't that sounded really wrong. Um he can't, he's not sporty, and everything.
yeah,
That's not how he is. He's a brainy kid, not so nerdy, but he's not, like that sports wasn't his thing. Sports is
right.
more of Sam's thing. Sam's really good at sports. But yeah, so, and what were they playing? What game were they playing with the soccer like ball? Was that like kickball or something? Is that kickball? Because it looked like baseball, but with soccer
Yeah, it
ball.
might have been kickball.
Yeah, it was like a soccer ball, and then he runs up and jumps that kid and everything. And the lady that was running the thing was like, Sam, Sam, get off the
Mm-mm.
kid. Right? And then she came to the house and told, the mother. and the mother was trying to find a babysitter, and she looked over and goes, "Do you know any babysitters?" She's like, "I do not." She like walked off. I don't blame you. I don't
Yeah,
blame you. The kid's a little
same.
bit of a yeah, he's a little bit of a demon child at that moment, like I would not be able to handle him. Um, but anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you had I think this movie was something that that I'll probably watch again and again. And like I said, I might buy it on Amazon at some point if I can.
Hmm.
It's still available there. Um, $20 is well worth it considering the only place you can get it is on VHS. So,
Yeah.
having a real version of it, hopefully, hopefully it's not without music. That would suck, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a movie that I'd want to have like there's a couple movies like Dead Man on Campus, which I've done for Hollywood Knockbusters. I don't know if you ever saw that movie with
I
like
feel like I did.
it's the movie where the people find out that in college if your roommate dies, you get straight A's. So they decide to like bring in a new roommate and basically let them end up killing themselves. It sounds
Oh.
darker than it is because it's actually very light, hearted and fun, but like it does kind of like go there where, and it's got Zach Morris, Mark Paul Gosselaar as the lead and Tom Everett Scott from That Thing You Do
Hmm.
in it. But it is so funny. I love that movie and I have it on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon and I will keep it forever because, it's a movie that I like to watch over and over again.
Hmm.
My favorites. Um, and this, I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but this is definitely something that I would definitely probably want to watch over and over again. At least show people that probably have never seen it. You
Yeah.
know, that's a lot of why I like to watch these 90s movies over again and stuff is just to show people movies that they might not have heard of or might not have seen or might not have whatever, you
Or
know?
just forgotten.
Just forgot. Yeah. I mean, how many movies are there probably that you probably saw and then later you're like look up and you go, "Oh my God, I forgot about that movie." You
Hmm.
know? Because the 90s was filled with so many
Oh, yeah.
you'd go to the video store and you could rent whatever, to your heart's content and stuff. I don't know if what video stores you went to, if like Blockbuster or if it was like a mom and pop shop, kind of thing.
Um, I remember Blockbuster. I think there was also, was there Family Video?
Family Video was one.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah, we had a video store that I ended up working at called Movie Scene. Originally it was called Video Update, but that went out of I guess that went belly up and
Hmm.
then later I forgot what movies, but there's a couple movies that actually have Video Update in the movie because they sold the rights to it to movies. So
Oh, wow.
if you wanted to put Video Update in your movie, you had to go through the company and whatever. But Movie Scene became the the store and stuff. And I I would go in there all the time, because it was like my local video store that was like 5 minutes away. And I would like rent like every new release that they had in like 93, or whatever. So I loved watching this movie because it definitely brought back memories because 93 I was, let's see, 82, I was 11. So I would have been like a big, this would have been perfect for me, at that
Hmm.
time. Like this was like I'm the age, I'm a year younger than the 12-year-old, so I'm like watching this going, oh man, I want to steal a car and go on a wild, road trip, movie. But yeah, then I didn't do that, thank God. I would have been too scared, you know. I would not have been as brave as those two kids were, you know.
Yeah.
They did just shit out of like I don't what was their plan at the reunion? Just to get food? I think that was.
I think Josh went down there to try to figure out a way to, well, yeah, I think part of the reason he was down there was for some food.
Yeah, and then I he didn't want to go with the dude. You know, he didn't want to go with the cowboy hat dude, Chris
Right.
Penn. He wanted to I guess they were trying to figure out a way to get to Canada, but he didn't trust this guy, and stuff, especially when he knows he was drinking and shit. He's
Hmm.
like, it wasn't gonna be good. And then yeah, so but anywho, yeah, so I would I know I've rented this movie a lot, and I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theaters, when it came out. So I remember I remember it existing. So, my friend Dustin loves this movie. He said he loved this movie when he was a kid and stuff. So there's a lot of people who do. If you have seen it, let us know what you guys think of the movie. If you haven't seen it, well, you just spoiled the whole fucking movie, so you're welcome, I guess. Um, but yeah, if you haven't seen it, I would still say see it because
I
even
mean,
what
I'd
we
watch
said,
it again.
yeah, go see it because like even though if we described it, it's not, it's better if you actually see it, especially with Martha Plimpton's scene. She was probably one of the best parts of the movie,
Hmm.
even though it did get a little icky at times. But aside from that, that was 93. There was no PC. There was no,
Yeah.
like kids kids could ride their bikes at 7 o'clock at night, not worried that they were necessarily gonna get kidnapped. Nowadays
Right.
we have way more worries about kids and children and stuff. So I would just say yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Next month, I'll mention, I guess, what I'm planning for next month. I already got it coming to me on DVD tomorrow, so hopefully that is what I do next month. But the plan is to do PCU. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's interestingly enough, talking about political correctness, it's called PCU, which is Politically Correct University, aka Port Chester University. But it's
Huh.
that whole idea of like in the 90s, uh in the 90s, that's when the PC thing started really rampant and people
Hmm.
were, especially in the colleges and stuff, people were,
Yeah.
doing that stuff. So Jeremy Piven, John Favreau, David Spade, I mean, it's got a huge cast of people that at that point were not as well known as they are now,
Hmm.
you know. So, Jeremy Piven as a lead, I mean, that's just it's basically Animal House for the 90s, like I don't know if you ever saw Animal House. It's a classic
Hmm.
film, but it's basically about a fraternity that gets in trouble and isn't supposed to be there, and so they have to try to raise money and try to do all these other things to stay in because they're not PC enough for the college, and the college thinks that they need to be, the fraternity needs to go or whatever. But anyway, I hope you guys tune in was it next month? I almost said next year. Next month for that. I'm a little off today. But yeah, so next month, check out PCU. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. And if you've seen this movie, yeah, like tell us what your thoughts are on it. Because I guarantee you, people are gonna find this podcast because they'll be looking up Josh and Sam as a podcast, and they will stumble on it or whatever. That's
Hmm.
sometimes what happens randomly. So,
Yeah.
um, But if you're, if you're a big, and oh, I forgot to mention one last thing. So this is why it's a Hollywood knockbuster. Guess what the budget was for this movie?
I'm gonna guess 100,000.
100,000? Let's go up, way up,
Higher? I
way
don't
up,
know. Let's say 1 million.
way up, way up.
20 million.
Close. 18 million. So $18 million for this movie, right? And this was 1990s, like 1993 money.
Hmm.
So that would be equivalent of probably like 30 to 40 million dollars in the, right? They way
Yeah.
overspent, especially with two actors who were basically unknowns at that time, you know. Um,
No.
I guess how much it made worldwide.
5 million.
Lower,
100,000.
higher.
1 million.
Yeah, 1,640,220. So it lost like 17
A
million
lot of
dollars
money.
in the box office, and that is probably why MGM just shelved this movie. Like they did
Yeah.
not want
They didn't
now,
want to think about it anymore.
right? Well, I just don't understand why they won't let I don't know if they've never been contacted, but I would love to see somebody like Kino Lorber or Arrow put this movie out. Because sometimes they do that. They find movies that like nobody else wants, and they will just put it out because nobody wants to put out because people will buy it, you know. And if they think that there is a calling for this that people would buy it or yeah, buy it. Why not, you know, do it? And then MGM would get a kick of that money,
Hmm.
and everything like that. And or they could just buy the movie flat out. Like I don't know, some places could spend 18 million, give them the budget of the movie or more or whatever, and say, "Can I have the movie?" You know. Um, in hopes that they would make 18 million or more back from Blu-ray sales, or whatever. I I think it would be really nice to see this on Blu-ray, with all the music, everything, all that stuff intact, and whatnot. In like Ultra HD and everything, because it does have some pretty photography
Yeah.
uh with the places that they go to, the desert and stuff, So I would say it'd be great. But unfortunately, I guess you got to figure out how to do that, like how to get MGM to care,
Yeah.
you know. So anyway, or a streaming channel to pick it up, like Tubi, why not? So hope you guys enjoy this. Tune in next month for a brand new episode. Till then, everybody, bye.
Bye, guys.